Flesh and Blood players, this is the Redline podcast.
So I hear that a set called High Seas is coming out, and pirates.
I can see pirates. Just what classes are we thinking?
I think Ranger is like the absolute 100% has to be there.
Absolutely. In my opinion, I'm thinking Guardian, Ranger. That's my two predictions.
I'm thinking I'm thinking Necromancer, boys. I think this is when James is finally breaking out Necromancer.
Oh, that's right, because League of Legends can't have any unique settings, and Flesh and Blood has to take it.
What?
Because it's the Shadow Isles.
Is that where we're going?
Kinda, yeah. If you saw that it was a ship and it had a big shadowy, kind of phantomy glow on the back of it, and it made dark sea noises.
Oh, so definitely Necromancer.
Probably Necromancer.
They've been hinting at it for a while.
Yeah, I think James confirmed that it's coming out this year for sure. So it's either going to be in High Seas or it's going to be in Monarch Part 3, Electric Boogaloo.
Do they still have the rule where you can't rearrange your graveyard?
Yes. And actually, I think somebody got in trouble with it. Oh, no?
You can rearrange your graveyard if it fits priority for cards that you're playing. I can rearrange my deck for Kasai. Or my graveyard for Kasai. If you have relevant cards in graveyard.
Thanks.
Made that change.
Thanks, production.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So we're thinking Ranger and Necromancer and maybe Guardian?
Maybe a Guardian.
I think Mechanologist.
Yes, I saw Mechanologist and Brute as rumors for a ship's navigator and the first mate.
Yeah, I think Brute would fit in pretty well.
And I mean, we kind of need more diversification of the Brute class anyways in terms of characters.
Very true.
Because we have Green Men and Purple Lady.
A Brute could be a pirate.
So what mechanics do we actually think are going to be in it? Because obviously we know pirate. James confirmed that in the last dev talk, that pirates are part of a set. But do we actually think pirate's going to be its own class, or do we think it's going to be a talent on other classes, or just a thematic thing for the classes that are featured in the set?
Well, so you all said Ranger, and I don't know how Ranger fits pirates, because Ranger's all traps and putting stuff in the arsenal, and that doesn't feel very pirate.
Well, when's the last time we had a Ranger?
Outsiders.
Which we got Trench of Sunken Treasure as the legendary equipment.
Yeah.
Which is a man in a pirate coat and a pirate hat. So I feel like LSS kind of shoeholed themselves into this. Production is showing us a large sign that just says Blunderbuss.
Give Ranger a gun.
Hey, it might.
Loading a cannon.
Just might.
So Mechanologist, though.
Yeah, Mechanologist.
Yeah, okay. Mechanologist can fit in pretty well, I
They
think.
also need something.
Well, it's just the curveball in the set, right? Every so often we'll get a set and it's what are you doing here? Uprising had an Ice Wizard in it. What are you doing here, Ice Wizard, in our Draconic Fiery set?
Yeah, Necromancer. I don't think it's going to come out in High Seas.
You don't think it's coming out in High Seas?
I don't think so.
Then do you think so you do think it's going to show up in Monarch, but do you think it's going to be its own thing, or do you think it's going to be a Shadow Wizard, since we know that Shadow is definitely going to be part of the Monarch set?
Well, so they could do the illusionist thing where they balance the class around there's not an illusionist. So there's not an illusionist that can play all the different illusionist stuff they print. Only Enigma can play 3 visits, or only Prism can play the angels. So I don't know. I kind of worry about Necromancer stepping into the same design space as Illusionist, because when you think Necromancer, you think little thralls or ghouls or skeleton dudes or something. So it's do we really need a shadow talent class that's just going to play Rake the Embers?
Well, and the Runeblade's also already kind of stepped on the Necromancer toes a little bit. Because, the character Viscerai, in of himself, is an undead warrior who was brought back to life. Art on, Rattlebones and Dread Triptych show, undead horrors and, kind of a traditional shaman-y type tropes.
What's the Entomb card? Called to the Grave?
Yeah.
That's a Necromancer.
Yeah, that's definitely a Necromancer.
That's our Necromancer guy. That's he's literally him, dude.
We thinking any talents returning or otherwise?
I'd actually hope that we don't get talents this time.
I think like the more that we add talents, the more we dilute the card pool for heroes that like actually really need something. And I'm not really sure what thematically there could be a talent for. Because like right now we don't have the metrics talent or the Savage Lands talent.
Okay, yeah.
I hope the Savage Lands talent is just angry brute. Yeah, I think if we're gonna do a new class, the class could be like illusionist, where it's always talented, in which case it kind of doesn't matter, or we just don't see talents at all. And we've had 2 back-to-back sets with talents now, so I think we can go back to just here's Ranger cards. Everybody gets to play these instead of getting all of the previous talent holders thinking, oh man, we're going to get some cool stuff this set, and it just ends up getting added to the Starvo pile.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, they have been hinting at Necromancer, and I think Pirates in the same card, that being the art from Cut Through the Facade. I don't know. That looks like a pirate stabbing some undead thing.
Yeah, I think that's
am I right?
Really good point. It could be like a Pirates versus Necromancer thing, kind of like in Pirates of the Caribbean, where you have like Captain Jack Sparrow and his ragtag crew, and they're going up against Davy Jones, literal Lord of the aquatic underworld.
Now, also speaking of art, Rotten Remains. That very reminiscent of just necromancy in general. I think that's, yeah.
My scrubbiness is going to show here. I have only ever heard that card named. I know it's a card that gets played, but I have no idea what it does, and I cannot bring that piece of art up in my mind at all.
It just came out in the Hunted. It's like a dude who's holding like a green brain jar, I think.
It plays off the graveyard mechanically as well.
Jamie's bringing it up.
Power 1 cards. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, it's like a bauble. That's pretty wild looking. What is going on?
And mechanically, it plays off the graveyard pretty well.
It gets rid of one power
it's a looking
attacks.
for a scrap.
Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of hinting towards Necromancer.
Bro looks like a pirate, though. He's got the hat.
Oh, let me...
I mean, thematically, playing with the graveyard, you know.
Hopefully in post we've put a picture of this art up so we don't just...
Yeah.
There's also like a metal hand that's holding it, which that could also tie us back into Mechanologist.
Okay, I like that.
And with it being a card that came out in the Hunted, LSS has been known to like kind of preview new classes or new themes in previous sets, like in Uprising, we had Vipox, which is the first time we saw Arachne Huntsman.
Okay.
And Bear Art was on this generic card.
Right.
And it hinted at the new assassin class that would be premiering in Dynasty.
Yeah, and man, that looks like a creepy guy.
Oh, yeah. And then Shelter from the Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Misfortune's on that card.
Yeah, and there's like, I think it's a Nip at the Heels or Nip 'em at the Heel.
Yeah.
And there's a pirate on a boat, and there's like everybody's saying Crab Brute is gonna be part of a set. Because there's some weird humanoid crab man that's grabbing the guy's foot. Return the crab.
You know, Max Nitro could be a pirate.
Can he?
He'd be a better pirate than Dash. Dash is like half artificial intelligence now.
I think we just come up with a new character.
You think so?
What are we hoping to get out of High Seas?
What are we collectively as like the people that play this game, or me? What do I want out of High Seas?
Either or.
Well, so I'm pretty sure everybody wants Necromancer. But what do I want out of High Seas? I want that curveball class, even if it's not Mechanologist. I want it to be like, God, yeah, bring Shadow Brew back. Put Levia in the set. Throw us a curveball. Or even so, they didn't say it's a set. It could be PvE still. I don't think LSS ever actually said we're not doing that.
It has been announced as it being the June premiere set.
Oh, it has been said now?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking, man, that'd be a hell of a way to bring pirates into the game, is just PvE.
Yeah, because like we have that new card, Play promo, that's only in UPF, a Scarf for a Scarf that trades people's headpieces around. And a lot of people were joking that'd actually be a really good pirate mechanic to like give things to your opponent and try to plunder it from them, or swapping around permanents.
But yeah, what do I want from this set? I want that I want that 5 specialization that I keep talking about. Every set I think this will be the set 5 finally gets a card in the support slot. And every set I cry myself to sleep after spoilers are done.
I suppose for context, a Phi main.
Not anymore.
Oh, well, that's fair.
I've played him more than any other hero, though. I'll probably put a list together with the generic Draconic stuff that he can play. But my man's hurting after losing Art of War. That deck's not a deck right now.
So do you think a 5 specialization would just be like a Draconic Art of War? What does it need to do to actually have Phi be a deck again that can compete against Syndra and Zen?
Well, so I've seen 2 kind of schools of thought on that. One of them is it's Phoenix Flame centric. Either it's a card that lets him create Phoenix Flames in Banish to play them, so that he could play the cards that care about the number of Phoenixes that are on the chain, because most people don't want to play a playset of that. It's a terrible draw. If you can search it off of Flamecall Awakening, it's great, but when you need a 5-card hand and you open 2 Phoenix Flames, it's like, oof, that's rough, bud. And then there's that other school of thought, which is, it could just be a Draconic Art of War, like half of a Tome of Imperial Flame and then like the kind of power buff. He needs something. He needs something, that's for sure.
What would you be looking for out of High Seas?
The biggest thing I want to see is for the Earth heroes that aren't Jarl to get more playable Earth cards. Specifically that can decompose and actually turn their abilities on. Because right now, Florian and Burdens really only have like a late game. They aren't very good in the early game. Like, you really don't want to see a Belling in the Crown or a Plow Under at the beginning. Really, you don't want to see any of the decomposed cards at the beginning of the game. So if we could have a card that is still a useful draw at the beginning but can decompose later, to give you some sort of effect. Like, maybe there's just a extra bonus. Like, I don't know, Florian can have a card that, like, makes you swing and it makes a rune chant or something, but if you decompose, you can, like, double the rune chant that you make, or I don't know. That's probably not a great actual inclusion for him, but they need something, because there's only, like, 6 or 7 decomposed cards, and each of them only have, like, 4 playables.
So would you want that as a spec for Florian or Aurora? Not Aurora, Verdance? Or do you want just a generic Earth card? Because I feel like that card ends up in the Jarl/Starvo pile as well, if it's...
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I think I'd rather see them each get a separate specialization that can each do a specialized thing that they want to do, which I guess is the point of specialization in the first place. But, because, yeah, I think we need to try to avoid just handing stuff to Jarl, who's really more of an ice hero, where people are having to play him as an Earth hero, because the ice pool just isn't great. Really, Jarl's not that great in the current meta. Or I guess in the current meta he's fine, but he's weak. And he has to kind of rely on these decomposed cards despite not being a decomposed hero, which is also driving up the price of new players that want to try to build Florian and Burdens, because Belling in the Crown's like a $50 card right now, and you really need free copies because you don't want to run Rainbow Rootbound Carapace.
You don't?
No.
I need to go make some cuts.
I don't think I have any say in expansion slot thoughts, just because I play, I play new.
You're playing new. You're eating good.
I'm eating good. Give Betsy a weapon.
Oh.
Man, Betsy could be part of the pirate crew.
Oh my god, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, so do you think that's going to supersede the Guardian Mastery set? Is Guardian going to be in High Seas?
I'm not positive. I feel like it isn't likely that it's there, but I could see them taking that same slot that Brute's trying to occupy right now in the current predictions. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Well, we keep talking about what we want to see in High Seas. What do you guys think so far about the Hunted? Are we happy with what's come out in it? Like, do you guys think the expansion slot did a good job this time around? What do we think about the new the new Draconic characters, the new assassins?
I feel like the new characters have come off pretty hot. They're doing pretty well. Like, obviously, Fang's a little low-powered right now, but I think that's okay. Like, we don't need every hero breaking the meta in half like Zen was.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I feel like Fang is right on that precipice where someone's going to test that one playset that, like, really graces him in just that right way, and he takes off, like when people just were like, hey, wait a second, Dory wielding hatchets is just the best mid-range deck in the format. Like, I feel like we're 3 to 6 cards away from that with Fang.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, Fang has good numbers. Like, you can play a 0 for +2 attack reaction, and as long as it's Draconic, it's actually a 0 for +3 and go again, which is a better rate than I think any warrior has right now.
And Blade Flurry is still a really good card on its own.
Yeah, and with fealty tokens, you can turn Blade Flurry into a +3, go again on this dagger, and +2 on the next one, and you spend nothing for it. But in terms of, like, the Hunted's expansion slot, obviously I think Ring of Roses is doing a decent amount to help Verdance out right now. But I think a lot of the others have, like, really weak overall. We got a lot of arcane hate for classes, but I don't know if they really wanted it. But we got Cole, which is a fantastic card. It might actually help Vincent push up into the upper echelons of the meta right now, especially once some other characters start to rotate out later.
Well, Vincent was already doing pretty okay after Rosetta, wasn't she?
She got outclassed by Viserai.
Well, sure, but Viserai he's doing gangbusters right now. Viserai stocks are up.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I can confidently say that as the Runeblade guy.
Would you play Carrion Husk and Viserai?
If I could.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Viserai if he living legend soon. I feel like Vincent with the addition of Cole will be not as good, but still good enough. You know, like a solid tier 1.5 deck. Nobody's gonna turn their nose up at you for bringing Vincent to an event.
But one thing that the Hunted did, but I don't know if I entirely appreciate, is Shelter from the Storm. Like, it's a card that we need, but did we need it to be a Majestic?
You don't want another $80 generic staple in your set?
Not when I still need 2 of them.
Do you have your Warmongers yet?
I have the one I need for LL, and I don't play Warmongers myself because I play Runeblade.
Do you have your weakest links?
I sure don't.
Just you wait. We'll get another one. How are we feeling about those assassins, though? Did Marionette take down that Battle Hardened, or did it just top?
I think it just topped. I don't think it actually got the Battle Hardened points.
Okay.
Which one was that?
It was
Christchurch, or
it was the same week. I think it was the Battle Hardened at Memphis. It was the same weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
okay.
I remember seeing the top 8, and it's like, oh man, there's Marionette, and I never doubled back around to see if it actually took it down or if it just topped.
I know that they've gotten quite a bit of points. I think that they had the 5 most points in the last in the first RTN weekend.
Were people expecting that, or were people expecting, oh, this is the silly RNG hero, it's not going to be that good?
I know I definitely didn't think it was going to be that good, because you don't have control over which one you get. But I think I was kind of neglecting the fact that he has so many powerful generic on hits. Like, is it, Manuel, you would know, the spiders, is it Spider's Bite? I don't know, it's the one that it makes them banish if they're marked whenever it hits, and it's a stealth card.
Mark of the Black Widow, I think.
Yeah, like, that card is insane, and it's only a common.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like, obviously, like, all assassins have access to, like, the Persuasive Prognosis and the
Right.
Bonds of Agony and all that. That card, in tandem with an easy mark package, like you get with Flick Knives and the Hunter's Claims,
Yep.
is really strong.
Your $55 Hunter's Claim.
Yeah, we gonna talk about that, or are we gonna
So-
save that one? Just put it in the pocket
Well,
for a bit.
So that you mentioned Shelter. Did Shelter need to be a Majestic? Did Hunter's Clave need to be a Majestic?
They addressed this in the last Dev Talk.
They did.
And apparently there was, like, the Hunted way outsold
Yeah.
any expectations.
It's as of right now, it's just gone. We are waiting on a restock.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they made it majestic. Like, I guess to keep it out of the hands of Commoner, but like, Commoner isn't a premier format, and is it really that strong in Commoner when you don't have flick knives available?
Well, I guess the value of your dagger in Commoners also probably just because the dagger always has an on hit, and trading one of your 40 cards in Commoner to block a 1-power attack seems really, I mean, I haven't played Commoner in a while. I don't know how, even if it was good, is Assassin good enough to worry about it?
I know Solitary Confinement was doing really well, which I think is actually why they nerfed Slippy, by making it to where he gives every stealth attack.
Oh, are we going to talk about
again.
Slippy now? That's who I think is the real sleeper of the set. Card is crazy.
As long as he isn't played against New.
And I mean, New is on borrowed time. We were talking about Viscerai LLing. New is not too long for this world either, I think.
Well, do we really think any of the Mistveil heroes are making it
They're
to a year from Mistveil being released?
They're not making it to the end of the summer. I think the whole set hits full points by June, maybe July.
Yeah, they're sitting at 627 LL points.
Yeah.
So she's got the longest climb to go of the three of them. And I guess her climb gets a little bit harder if the other two leave before she can start racking more of those points up.
I think it gets easier because she doesn't have Enigma to compete against, and that's her biggest counter right now.
Well, and if New is the last one to go and she makes it into the summer and into when they release the Guardian set, oh man.
Yeah, that's actually not something I thought about. Flick knivesing Blossoming Mistblade to give Go Again to whatever new majestic crush effect that they gave us.
Yep.
I mean,
Or even just giving a cranial crush Go Again.
Oh, I've done stuff like that. It's just, it's a lot.
You're the new guy, so what do you actually think is her prospects like coming up?
When does that Guardian set? Is there a release schedule on
They
that?
had to push it back. I think it's August now.
August? Yeah, if New can make it that long. I don't know if New will survive the summer without LLing.
Her World's Win is too fresh in my mind still. I mean, she just dismantled Aurora in that last game at Worlds. So I don't even think the absence of the Blue Matters characters really impedes her all that much.
Yeah, because I mean, before she had a really good matchup into Zen, she's proven to be a strong hero on her own right. Because like you said, she dismantled Aurora, which is mostly played as a Redline deck.
Yeah. Depends on the player. 6 to 12 will average it out to 9 blues in the deck, none of which I think New is going to play.
And then also, there's the fact that Assassin is just the most popular class. And so a lot of people that are deciding to go to a calling, even if it's their first time, they're probably bringing an Assassin just because it's a fun deck to play. And I don't think it's a particularly fatiguing playstyle to bring to a tournament, unlike something like Kano.
Is Assassin the most popular class in the game?
I mean, I think so. Every Assassin that's ever been printed has gotten a Marble variant before any Ranger has.
I have been on the record for saying that $5 Ninja Majestics are $20 Assassin Majestics, and so I guess that could be a component of that. It's just more people playing Assassin.
Well, and also, Assassin just kind of has some pretty crazy power creep. I know a lot of Warrior players have been complaining about it, because you get something like Saber Bloodshed is a crazy card. Now, granted, it is an Assassin Warrior card.
They have a weapon attack action card. But, I mean, you think about what Assassin came out and what it was like versus where it's at now.
And that's fair. Arachne Huntsman
was kind of a nothing burger. Everybody was super hyped. Oh, we're finally getting Assassin. Hell yeah, it's time. And then it's like, oh wow, this is really hard and the numbers aren't that good. And then they gave us Solitary Confinement and everybody was like, this is awesome. When do we get it in Classic Constructed?
And then they said, here it is in Classic Constructed, but we nerfed it.
Still think it's the best hero in the set.
He isn't technically part of a set.
Yeah, he's a promo.
Yeah, which is why Slippy is going for $20 on the aftermarket right now.
Oh my god,
yeah,
is he
he's
really?
just a hero.
What's Ira at?
She's like 5, because Ira was just given if you showed up at the local game store. I think they had 16 to 20 promos per store. Slippy was limited to 12 to every LGS.
Oh, so even if that store had more than 12 pre-release slots, it was the first 12 that
I
showed up?
don't know if they gave out more than 12 pre-release slots to every store.
Oh.
I could be wrong on that. We might need to fact check that later.
We'd have
throw
to
something up on the screen.
We'd have to talk to some like big game stores, because like surely there's some game stores in the States that are big enough that they're like, hey, we need more than 12 slots for our pre-release.
And that's fair. I guess all the stores in our area are relatively small.
I didn't have problems hitting that 12 cap though.
No, we had people waiting on the sidelines because they thought that they might be able to come in.
So how are we feeling about the new Draconic Ninja?
I hate her.
I think it's safe to say she's a lot better than Fi.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. Being able to push massive momentum triggers is just insane. Like, flick knives, I want it to die.
It's one of those things that, like, it's kind of like how people talk about Warrior, where you have to, like, call their bluff, or, they don't actually have anything, or you get blown out, and it's kind of the same way where they don't have to flick. They could just raise a reflex and attack. All Flick Knives does is save the sequential number of hits. You don't actually get the draw off of Flick Knives. They do have to hit you after that.
Yeah, but whenever you're playing again, like, I'm coming at this from someone who's been playing Viscerai a lot on Talishar. And, like, I'm running in there with a deck that doesn't like blocking, can only really disrupt on the offense. And it's like, yeah, I could block this one attack, but then you're still going to get the draw anyways. So it was me giving up a card that could be really powerful for my combo turn. Like, actually keeping me from getting the draw. I mean, I guess that's why, like, I'm not, the star, number one seed at a calling or anything.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a skill issue.
And, like, I guess we do have Shelter from the Storm now to stop the Flick Knives, but it's also $80.
That'll be $250 for your 50-50 matchup.
Calming Breeze. Just throwing that out there.
That's fair.
Yeah, have you considered playing 9D reacts in your deck?
No, I don't like D-Reacts.
It turns out that's really good. That was the last time I remember people being excited about Fi was this guy. His name on Discord is just Rhett, and he just showed up to it wasn't a Road to Nationals. What's the other big season that we have that's not Road to Nationals?
ProQuest?
Yeah, he shows up to a ProQuest, and he's playing just the most basic Fi list you've ever seen, and he's just put 9D reacts in the board, and he just took it down.
Yeah, I remember you brought that list to our armory
and almost
made
won.
Our local Azalea player very upset.
Yeah, it took the Azalea to time with the D reacts. Well, I was playing 6 D reacts and 3 reinforce the line.
So basically a D react.
Yeah, but it gets around dominate because you're not blocking with it. They were really mad when they learned that's how that works. They were like, "You can't do that." I was like, "It's not blocking." And then we slow rolled the time.
Flesh and blood, as James White intended.
Speaking of Fi, there's somebody who everybody likes to bring up LL points who's not getting there anytime soon. Every so often I'll see somebody mention, I kind of want to look, I've been looking into Fi, he looks really cool, but I'm worried he's going to LL because he's at, over 700 points. It's like, don't worry about it. If you think he's cool, play him. He's not getting those LL points anytime soon.
And also probably just like one of the cheapest heroes to build right now. Like, of all of the maybe in danger of LLing this season heroes, he's probably the safest in terms of just like your wallet.
The only thing that hurts Fi on the budget side is you should probably be playing Mask of Momentum. Like, people are still trying to make Pouncing Links work, and I think it's just cope in that deck. You're not going to push your... Now, that might be different with Ignite and the... what's the Draconic D-React? The Loyalty from Beyond the Grave?
Yeah, Loyalty Beyond the Grave.
You might be able to actually put together kind of a nutty Pouncing Links turn again. If that's possible, and I've kind of just been focusing on Fi 2, haven't really doubled back around to Fi since Hunted came out, you probably could budget out. I mean, Fi can just play Blossom of Spring, and like nobody will turn their nose up at crack Blossom of Spring, hit you for 50. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and like you're running Tiger Stripe, you aren't running Flick Knives, so you're saving money there.
Well, and Tiger Stripe's probably back down. I know it crept up there because everybody's like, it blows up Enigma. But, it's always been a pretty affordable ninja legendary.
You know what else blows up Enigma? Bullock knives. It just blows up Mirage at instant speed.
Oh man, it's a shame nobody at our store plays Enigma. I kind of want to try that now. I'm gonna have to get on Talishar and do that.
What's Enigma at LL wise? Okay, 733 as of recording.
600 of those points in the last season alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was with Zen being a dominant force, using Tiger Stripe Shuko to block her, with Vincent being freshly revigorated, with Rosetta and her hero ability just saying, I blow up Enigma's board. And yeah, she was still able to put up 600 points.
Yeah.
I really don't think there's much in the way that can stop her other than something like Syndra that's just so fast, but it's able to keep her from actually being able to set up a board.
I wanted to see who was closest to Living Legend, and we've got another 5 situation. Dash Inventor Extraordinaire, not going anywhere anytime soon. You want to play some OG Dash, go for it.
Yeah, because it's like the best thing you can do right now is probably Slab Dash. Because if you're doing aggro dash, just run Dio.
Well, if you were gonna do, did Slab Dash rely on high octane for those really big pistol shot turns? That's how you got the action points to fire the pistol that many times, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Slab Dash is just dead in the water.
And that's why Mechanologist is coming in high seas.
Oh yeah. And then right after that we've got Zen, and like Zen, he's not making it to the end of the summer.
I'm surprised if he makes
Absolutely
it to
not.
the
even after the book burning of 2024. I know everyone was like doom and gloom, but he's still a very, very, very strong. I mean, he's just better Katsu. He's just I'm gonna do the Katsu thing, but I also just get to make a free token.
and requires less brain power to play.
And every card I search combos off the token I make. It's just a really efficient, low to the ground aggro deck. You know, sure, he doesn't have he doesn't get those disruptive elements that Viserai does. So I think depending on play rates and what people feel like they need to take to events, I think Viserai might get there before Zen does. But I think those two are the two that are going to hit Living Legend next.
I don't think that they're making it out of RTN season. Because from what I understand...
They keep changing it. Is it 1,500 points total are up for grabs this season?
I believe so, yeah. Well, and as far as I understand, Viserai has been Zen's worst matchup, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Because Zen runs so many blues and Zen State token just turns off Viserai for 2 turns off of a 12 petal. But I'm going to trust the pro players here. And so if Viserai LLs in like the next week or two, like Zen just takes over the format, right? Because like the only thing we compete against them is Syndra.
So the Zen Viserai matchup really does turn into a game of, did Zen get a Warmongers in his hand? Because Zen could play a Warmongers diplomacy. Oh, hey, you've played a blue, play your instant, transcend, etc. You've time walked Viserai for a turn. Maybe he sends like an attack and a reaping blade, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll take 6. And now you're drawn back up. Maybe you got a card in your arsenal. You're about to have like a decent Zen turn. But you compare that to Viserai. Viserai does not need to see a single card like Warmongers to just be like, yep, I'm sending a whole bunch of damage, potentially disrupting you, like ripping a card out of your hand. And also, the first really big pop-off turn Zen has, you just yeet the Face Purgatory at them.
Yeah, that's fair. You do have to commit 3 cards to the Face Purgatory, and you're definitely over-blocking it.
Yes.
Because, like, on average, you're blocking for 7 on 1 attack.
I guess it's an interesting matchup to talk about, because I feel like both heroes are decks that want to play on 5-card hands, and the second they get down to 4 or 3, their turns are drastically worse than if they had the full 4 to 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Viserai only exists because they started giving Go Again to Runeblade attacks, which may be a design mistake, but I really enjoy it. But yeah, like the second that you...
Have you seen those weapons? They had to give them something.
Yeah, no, Rosetta Thorn, every Runeblade is paying for the sins, Briar. But so, is it consensus here on Redline that Viserai is going next?
If it's not Viserai or Zen, I think the thing that happens is like Azalea just high rolls a weekend and just disappears. Azalea's at, 827? There's a world where enough people play Azalea and they just high roll some people. They're sending those fat 15 power Red in the Ledger arrows and they just take down a couple locals. And, oh man, she got 80 points this weekend.
And she does have a pretty good matchup into a lot of the decks that we've been seeing do really well at the beginning of this meta. For instance, again, not to beat a horse dead, but Syndra. You hit him with a hamstring shot because they aren't going to be blocking it, and now they have to use an extra card that they normally would rather be attacking with to play for their next thing, and that's one of the weaker on-hits Azalea has access to in that matchup.
That file list I told you about, that was 9 D-Reacts, the entire board of that deck is specifically for 2 matchups, and one of them is Azalea, and you don't need that board for any other character except for Prism. So I can easily picture a world where Azalea is the first or second worst matchup. For Draconic Ninja just struggles with disruption. You read in the Ledger Syndra, what's she gonna do? Art of the Dragon blood you and pass? Like, oh no.
Well, and who does Azalea struggle against right now? Jarl?
Who might see more play because Jarl has another card that kind of hoses Syndra in Channel Lake Frigid, and I think he's the only hero legal right now who can play that card.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, every hero has access to Warmonger, so anybody who's willing to give up the slots in their deck, which is most decks.
I think we're already, if we have the space, we're playing all 3 just because of Viserai.
Yeah, that's fair. If Viserai LL's first, so do you think that first weekend that he's gone in the RTN season, because I do think he'll be gone within the RTN season, do you think people start to lead their Warmongers at home and that's when Azalea goes in and spikes?
It could happen. I mean, you kind of hit your Kano situation where everybody kind of gets lulls into, he's kind of, I don't need to bring my AB3. And then, you got that one Kano guy that's Goldfish Kano more times than you've played games of Flesh and Blood, and he shows up and he just blows you away on the 3rd turn of the game, And Azalea is a character that can be like that. It can actually be worse because you could board in 9 D-Reacts in your 3 Warmongers and then just not see them. If you don't have them when she decides she's sending 15 Dominate Red in the Ledger at you, like, whoops. And then you draw up at the end of your next turn and there's your 3 D-Reacts right after you needed them. I'm not speaking from personal experience.
So right behind Fi, Bravo.
August.
My man needs some help.
Bravo is such an interesting comparison actually to Azalea because they both have a very similar game plan where they want to give Dominate to a massive attack with powerful on-hit, but the issue is that Bravo's on-hits you can stop, and he has to pay 2 resources to give something Dominate.
Yes.
And it's restrictive to what things he can even give Dominate, so it's not like he can go and dominate a CNC or an E-Strike or anything. Which I guess Azalea can't either, but arrows, you deal 1 point of damage and the on-hit happens.
Yes.
Bravo, you have to deal 4, and a lot of classes now have a fridge that they can use to block that.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Just kind of the general armor creep over time, like, Brute just having like 4 pieces of sticky equipment they can just throw in front of a Crippling Crush. Or a Spinal Crush.
Which, I mean, I guess that's where that Dominate comes in handy. But, you're still having to use so many resources, which means you didn't block a Brute's attack. Which probably really hurt, unless you're using something like Quick Dodge Flexors. New card from the Hunted, as a D-React, you can pay 1 to block 2. Repeat it for as many times as there's a Chain Link in that turn.
It's a generic, it really does feel like a Guardian card, though.
I think that it was made to help Guardian and everyone else just got the benefit because they decided to print us 4 go-wide decks in a singular set right after we got Aurora.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you guys probably need this. Sure, why not?
Yeah. Well, and then that kind of doubles back to Shelter. It's definitely I think a welcome inclusion, but would it really have been that detrimental to the limited format for it to be at Rare?
I don't think so, because it's not like there's an obligation for things at Rare to have to be rainbow. Like, we've seen things like Bittering Thorns was only 1 color for a really long time.
We had 2. We just didn't have the red.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, see, there is precedent.
Well, we just had the drop of dragon blood. That's a rare. It's just the one.
Every single draconic card is only red, which is weird compared to the other classes or other talents that are colored matters.
That might be Phi's fault. The amount of consistency that he got from all of his playable cards being available in Rainbow. I mean, you guys heard me talk about this when I got all excited. I'd like min-maxed that list to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm playing yellows now. Like, I'm just unironic. Like, you know, you always got that one resource left over. You don't need it. You just pitch a yellow instead. You know, like, so that might be part of the reason why, is just to somewhat restrict the amount of options and consistency that you can have. But then that just leads to what we saw in Memphis, where it's, okay, I just won't play any other color but red, and I'll just go wide anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Brody roll up to a Kano matchup with Spellboyd 1 and AB 1.
Yeah.
And he won.
Yeah. Starting with 10 less life in that matchup is not ideal.
So after this RTN season, and stuff starts to settle, because like last year we only had Dromai LL, and so we had a pretty stagnant year for the most part in terms of the table. But I think we're definitively going to be seeing at least 3 heroes end up leaving the format before High Seas drops. Who do you think ends up taking slots as the best decks in the format afterwards? Like, I know Kano's been doing really hot right now. We're getting that new Aurora CC deck coming up.
So this is my favorite part, because no matter what you say, you'll be wrong, and everybody gets to come back and point and laugh at you a month after the fact, you know? I think we almost go back to just, like, who beats KO. His numbers are just so good. He's got that consistency factor. KO is always going to hit you for at least a really big number, and a lot of the times he can't block you even if he wanted to. You know, so many of his cards don't block. So I feel like KO sets a really good standard that the metagame builds up off of. I don't think that the metagame will revolve around him, but I think that's kind of the floor for the metagame, is you need to be at least as good as just like a really solid mid-range KO deck that's going to hit you for 12 to 14 every single turn.
So do you think these decks that are starting to get some more like disruption pieces, like Vincent with Cole and everything, do you think they start to take the spot?
I worry about Vincent just because her ability, I've just seen it put people in some terrible positions. It just completely unavoidably. You're giving up a card out of your hand every turn. I think Cull helps her a lot, though. So, and just all the stuff she got from Rosetta, just the base Runeblade stuff helps a lot.
Come to Temptation is a card.
Yeah, it's got text on it too. I want to see some action from Acilio.
He's been spiking a lot of events recently.
I feel the same way about him as I do about Feng, where he is just like one kind of off-the-wall deck builder away from just starting to really pop off.
I think his biggest issue right now is that half of his deck is no blocks, and the snuff out on Viserai just hurts him so bad.
Yeah. He doesn't start with 40 either, does he?
No, he starts at 36.
So we're in an environment where, like, even if he's not going to see Viserai, he might see Aurora or Zen. Like, it's just a hostile metagame to him that I feel like if some of that goes away, and, like, maybe Syndra's around and we're starting to see a lot of people play Jarl, I feel like against Jarl, where he's got that extra room to kind of do stuff, he can set up that really big Lightning Grief's turn and just...
Well, and I also think a lot of people underestimate him, because a lot of people, they don't know whether he's going to be going into like a Mind Warp combo turn, or if he's just going to be trying to do that Lightning Greaves thing where I'm
going to hit you with Gone in a Flash 8 times.
Yeah, and you flash back a Sigil of Brilliance and you draw like 9 cards. And, Acilio was originally designed with Tome of Fyendal and Tome of Aetherwind in mind.
Acilio is one of those heroes that, like, when you see his combo happen, you're like, dang, that's really cool. But if it's happening to you, you're like,
kind of like Bolton, where it's like, how is this allowed to be in the game? And then you look at the table and realize they haven't put up any points in like half a year.
Yeah, it watching a Bolton player pop off is super awesome. If you're the dude that's getting popped off on, you're like, how did I let this happen to me? I knew he had the Lumina in Arsenal. Why didn't Why did I let it get to this point?
I'm better than this.
Yes. But so there, I think there's room for characters like Acilio and like Fang they're right there. They're right on that precipice of just a couple things change and they're looking like respectable decks. I think the real menace to society after all this is Dio.
I don't know. She doesn't have high octane.
She doesn't have high octane, but Cerebellum Processor is still a really good card.
Yeah, actually, I got popped off against with a Dio deck on Talishard. They hit their Cerebellum Processor right when they needed to, and I think they had like a 7 attack turn without high octane.
Yep.
It felt bad. And I didn't block the first like 3 attacks, and eventually I just gave up and took all of it. And the last attack was a maximum velocity, and I lost the game.
How do we feel about Prism?
She feels strong in a meta where you're running around with assassins and you're running around with ninjas. Like, poppers just don't really exist right now.
Well, we do have that one ninja that plays some poppers.
Are you going to say Fi again?
No, I'm going to say Ira.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm the absolute mad lad that teched heavily into Prism and then never got to play her at our armory. Yeah, the Blanches in my sideboard are crying that they never got to get boarded in against Prism.
I've played that matchup once, and playing new into that matchup, I never want to do that again.
Well, I've taken Katsu to a couple armories, and I'm just like, I don't want to give up on him, but man, he's in such a bad spot. But every time I've played Katsu into Prism, I'm like, how is this a deck people are scared of? Because she never has room to set up a board. She can, sure, she can send an angel at you and it's going to have an effect. And you're like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to attack it 3 times. And, oh, you played a Spectra thing. So I'll end by popping your Spectra thing. Go. And then, some Prism stuff happens. You're like, that's cool. I'm going to pop my, oh man, the name is gone. It's right there. It's Band and Blitz, the chess piece, the pop. Yeah. Heartened Cross Strap. Why did that just vanished? I'm going to pop my Heartened Cross Strap and Surging Strike you and just carry on. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wow. Prism's dead now because she starts at 32.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you also have decks like KO, where,
Popper.deck.
Yeah, not only can you pop everything she wants to throw at you, forcing her to use the Phantasmal Footsteps, but he also has that similar thing with the Spectre attacks and Katsu, where it's like, yeah, sure, I'll only throw 7 at you, my Wild Ride. Here's a Mandible Claw for free coming at the Spectra attack. I mean, you just get a good arsenal and get to pop them again. KO can work on, 2 to 3 card hands and be very effective.
The less people want to play Prism, the easier I think it is for Kano to kind of worm his way back into the metagame, though. Because you think about it, is that Kano's hardest matchup?
That is why our Kano players stopped playing Kano. Because he was having to go up against Prism every week.
That's really funny.
Because Ward is a keyword, and Kano obviously isn't going to pop anything. And are you going to take 7? Like, you have to block, but what do you block with? None of your equipment's blocking.
Imagine a world where Kano is boarding in his Command and Conquers for the Prism matchup.
Kano with his singular nourishing emptiness. To pop 1 the Herald of Erudition halfway through the game whenever he's at 2 and Prism's at 32.
The law of averages dictates that it's happened to somebody somewhere.
I guess that's fair.
Speaking of averages, what's the percentage of just aggro decks versus just like non-aggro these days?
We're in the
aggro meta.
Yeah, this is like, man, if you like playing red deck wins in Magic, you are eating good in Flesh and Blood right now. You've got so much aggro to choose from. You want Thinking Man's aggro, you can play Aurora and try and understand how instance and the resolution step works.
If you just want to win the game, you play Syndra.
Yeah.
You have Slippy, Viserai, Zen, obviously Syndra.
Dio.
Yeah, Dio's another good aggro deck. Azalea. Well, she's like more of an untraditional aggro deck because she's go tall, but she is a aggro deck.
Is KO an aggro deck or is he a mid-range deck?
It depends on who he's going up against. fast.
Oh yeah, I guess that's kind of one of his strengths is he can kind of just pivot into what he wants.
Because, if he's going up against a ninja, KO's just going to race you. He's not going to bother blocking that damage. He's just going to send swing big for 9.
I don't know. The ninja might want that quicken token.
If Syndra uses her entire hand to block a swing big, you know what? She earned the quicken token. I'll take the win.
There's some Syndras out there on 9D reacts.
Maybe. Like I
Probably
just don't see
not
it.
for not for KO though. I don't think you're bringing in your wax ons for KO.
I mean, it does block a go again and lightning strike fully. Not saying that one from experience.
Ooh, man, thanks for the tip there. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a really clean use for that.
Yeah, I've been testing a new Florian list recently where I really kind of have to rely on Enlightened Strike.
And you got blown out by wax on.
I got blown out by Wax On, except on the turn I had Channel Mount Heroic out, and it was 8 power go again.
Sheesh.
I'd say the game's in a pretty good spot these days.
If you like aggro,
Yeah, well, the Hunted was just a win for a set,
You're-
I'd say.
who's your mid range options are what? Hatchets, Dory, and Ira. I feel like is a mid range deck.
KO, Kasai, still exist. The Burdens and Florian, they've been ran as Fatigue in the past, but I feel like they're more like KO, where they can be either the mid range or the Fatigue deck, whereas KO can be the mid range or the aggro deck.
Florian and Verdance to me, I feel like epitomize that old like battle cruiser operational. Like I'm gonna scale up and like, oh shit, it's turn 14 and I'm still alive. You're in for it now, bud.
Yeah, because Florian and Burdens, both, they don't have a hero ability for like most of the game. But then once you get that hero ability, they're easily some of, if not the most powerful hero abilities in the game. Pitching 1 blue to grasp the Arcanine, make 2 rune chants, and swing with Reaping Blade for 5 every turn, turns out is really good.
I could see that. So yeah, I guess that does put our Rosetta Earth Heroes squarely in the mid-range pile.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's too early in the meta to definitively say what's the mid-range decks and, like, at least what are the good mid-range decks. Because, obviously, Olympia can be a mid-range deck, but are you really bringing Olympia to your RTN?
Maybe.
I mean, I guess we get some gold payoffs in high seas.
You never know with the gambling man.
All I know is that doubled agility token in Florian, whenever you win a wager, is doing nothing.
Shout out to our local Decimator Great Axe Stan. Brings Olympia. Do we think there's going to be any... We gonna see any of the really lowest of the low guys? Are they going to make moves? Do you think there's anything in this set that, for whatever reason... now all of a sudden we're just seeing Arachne Huntsman pop off. Has anything changed enough to dredge up anybody from the bottom?
Arachne Huntsman hasn't gotten a card since Dynasty. I don't think anything is happening. I think Brian Gottlieb wants him to stay in the format forever, so his favorite hero never leaves. And who else are we putting in the bottom tier? Like Riptide and Teklo.
If you're looking at
Teklevasan.
Talishar win rates, Katsu is now officially in that tier as well with Betsy and Teklevasan. It makes me very sad.
And it's like Betsy, yeah, she can disrupt Syndra. If you're trying to disrupt Syndra, just play Jarl.
Yeah, but dude, have you read that helmet?
I mean, it's good, but it's not good enough to justify playing worse Bravo.
Yeah, and as we talked about, Bravo's not having a great time right now as it is.
Yeah, you didn't want to pay 2 to give the best keyword in the game, a 2 and a card. You definitely don't want to pay 2 to give a worse keyword to a card. They all need specialized help, except Riptide. I don't think we can call Riptide bottom of the barrel anymore because
he got a screw the rules, I can do whatever I want card. Have you read that card? That card's crazy.
Yeah, and it adds a lot of mind games to it that, like, Azalea doesn't have, for instance, and he can still play like an Azalea deck where you're just making these big arrows and disrupting your opponent. I think a lot of people were tricked by Riptide in the first year of his existence because they were really focused on the trap text line, whereas the actual powerful line of text is put something in your arsenal whenever you play a card from your hand.
Yeah. Dude's rocking New Horizon, too, so that's not a one-time thing for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you play a pump and you slam your battering bolt down, which you can easily play because he likes running blues.
Yeah. So that's where our money's at, on the maybe dredging something up from the bottom of the old sea prior to high seas. We get the Riptide resurgence.
Yeah, Riptide will be LL'd by June.
Oh, you heard it here first. And with that, our turn is ended, and we pass to you. Let us know in a comment down below. What hero do you think will LL next?